Hi, Tommy. I'm Dave Gladwell. How are you? Can you see and hear me okay? Great. I'm the licensed benefit rep that's doing all the union benefits here in Alberta. By the way, is Jane there? These benefits apply to her as well, so take a seat where I can see both of you on the screen because this is really important. Let me ask, did you talk to your cousin Spencer to find out what he's done for you and your family and why I'm meeting with you today? No? No problem. I'll back up and fill you in on what's going on. As you probably know, Spencer is in good standing with the police union. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the unions like the UFCW, police, firefighters, and Teamsters, but you've probably heard that they have some pretty good benefits out there. American Income is the unionized company that does all the benefits for the major unions and associations. Now, your cousin and the union is in good standing with the police union, and he was allowed to extend some of his permanent and portable benefits to his family and members and those close to him. Do you know the difference between your temporary benefits and your permanent benefits? Do you get benefits where you work? Well, the unions, they have really good benefits. What they mean by temporary is that a lot of people have benefits through work, but when you leave your job, change careers, or retire, your benefits go away. So they have set up permanent ones that fill in all your gaps while you're working. So whenever you do change your jobs or retire, you get to take these with you and they never expire. Now, did Spencer go over this with you? No? No problem. That's probably best because they left it up to us for good reason. Tommy, were you working today? Where do you work? And how long have you been doing that for? And yeah, if that's a while, do you still like it? Sometimes, yeah. And Jane, where do you work? Have you been there a long time? And have you guys always lived in Calgary? Okay. Now, Tommy and Jane, my job is to go over your benefits and help you get enrolled. When I'm finished, they have you fill out a report card that will go back to the police union so they know I've done my job. Is that fair? Yeah. They have me meeting, excuse me, they have me meeting with you for two reasons. One is to explain the benefit package your cousin qualified you for. And secondly, the most important reason that we are meeting is that I'm going to see if you can actually qualify for all the permanent benefits your cousin made available to you. I'm going to let you know right now, it's going to be really hard to qualify and many people don't. So are you guys familiar with Zoom? Okay, just give me a second here, please. There we go. So, Tommy and Jane, this is your AD&D certificate coming to you through the police union and American Income. That's the group insurance company. This covers you for $2,000 when you die in any type of accident. It's non-contributory and non-participating, which means you don't have to pay for it and you're already qualified. Pretty nice, hey? Who do you want this as a beneficiary? Okay. What's your date of birth? Okay. They will email this out to you for your record so that when something happens, you'll have proof of it. Does that make sense? What email should they send this to? Okay, and next we have your Vision discount card. This card is no cost and it will give you discounts over and above your work benefits on vision and non-prescription sunglasses. So you get 30% off above and beyond on your vision and 15% off above and beyond your benefits with sunglasses. Here at the bottom, you'll find all the providers, and it covers everyone here in your household. I'll email this to you. Pretty nice, hey? So I believe you have children under 18, 10 and a 12-year-old. Well, this is really important then. Now, these are your no-cost child safe ID kits. And are you familiar with the Amber Alerts, Jane? Police and our communities are actively searching for over 2,300 children each and every day, and over 800,000 children each year. When unprepared, it can take up to 4 hours for the police to collect the information needed to put out an Amber Alert. That means a 4-hour search radius in every direction. Even more frightening is the fact that if the lost child isn't found within the first 24 hours, there's a 93% chance they won't be found or won't be found alive. So, Tommy and Jane, you can see why these child safe kits are so important to every parent. So here you would put your child and their when it was taken and phone numbers. And when you go to the next page, this is where you can put down all their personal information, physical descriptions, any kind of birthmarks or scars, and of course their fingerprints. Now you can do their fingerprints by just taking a marker to some saran wrap and dipping your child's finger in it, and of course planting it on the page here. Yeah. So do you have wills done? Yeah, these are your family information guides. It's not a will, but it's really important to fill these out and keep them at home in a safe place. So when something happens to you, your family will know exactly what to do. There's one for each of you. At the top, there's a place for your name, birthday, and social. Now, persons to be notified. This is the most important part. Did you realize that in Canada, millions of dollars go unclaimed every year in insurance and benefits because either the family doesn't know about the insurance, they don't know how to make a claim, or the company can't find the beneficiary. So they ask every member to write down 5 people each in the local area, worst case Canada, that will be there to help the family out immediately when something happens to you. Now, Tommy, how many brothers and sisters do you have in Canada? Are your mom and dad in Canada? What's your dad's first name? Tommy, who's your best friend and who's going to help out when something happens to you? And for you, Jane, how many brothers and sisters do you have? Who's the oldest? Are your mom and dad in Canada? And Jane, who's your best friend that's going to help out when something happens to you? Okay, now your estate information goes here. Now, anything through work, put in pencil, because when your job's gone, it's gone. Do you have any life insurance outside of work? No? Well, when you get some, you can put down the company and phone numbers for the family to call. This part is for your banking information. List the information here because when you die, someone in your family has to close your accounts. Now, here is your funeral service and final request. This is very important. Have either of you ever had to plan a funeral? Do you want a cremation or a burial? Either way, it's very expensive. Remind me before I go, part of this program takes care of all your final expenses, but you will need to qualify for that. Do you see how important this is? Yeah. So here is your no-cost will kit. People are realizing that wills cost a lot of money. In fact, the cost of a will in North America ranges from $500 to $1,000 per individual. Even more surprising is how many families do not have a will prepared. They realize that everyone has a beneficiary for their bank accounts and their life insurance, but very few people have a will set up to take care of their children and the lives they leave behind. I'll email it out to you, okay? Now, Tommy and Mary, since you hadn't had the opportunity to get your wills done previously, these kits will assist you with getting these wills completed and save a lot of money in the process. Now, doesn't it feel good to have that taken care of? Yeah. Now, because you have an in with the union and AIL, they are allowing you to extend the same no-cost benefits package to the people in your life that are going to be there to help out when something happens to you. So they're going to receive the $2,000 AD&D certificate, family information guide, will kits, and child safe ID kits of their own, if they need them. Now, give me 2 seconds. They do have to be, just bear with me. They do have to be over 21, live in Canada, and they can't be in trouble with the law. So for your sister, Sarah, how many child safe kits will she need? And what's her spouse or partner's first name? What city are they in? For your brother, Tony, how many child safe kits does he need? Spouse's name and city. Now, Tommy and Jane, it's very important that you let all the people you sponsored know who I am first. In fact, you do text, right? Everybody texts. I'm going to send you a text right now that you can send to them so that they know exactly what's going on and how important this is. Let me know when you get that. Okay, go ahead and forward this text to them right now, because if you're anything like me, you'll probably forget to do it later. Starting with, let me know when you have sent that so I can check it off that it's done. Now, Tommy and Jane, since you didn't find out exactly what your cousin Spencer did for you, I'll back up a bit. Now, as they mention in the letter, there's a program they've set up for the members. In fact, this, and I have to share it, so give me 2 seconds, is the Labor Advisory Board. It consists of 54 international labor and association leaders. They're very important because what they do is to help advise and make recommendation as to where the gaps in your benefits are and what benefits people need. You see, Tommy and Jane, that's the reason they were chosen to do the program for the unions, because they realize that typically 31 days after you leave your job, get laid off or retire, you can lose your insurance benefits or they are greatly reduced. These are permanent and portable insurance benefits, and if you qualify, you keep them for the rest of your life. Pretty nice, hey? In fact, they don't just work with police, firefighters, and teachers. They work with over 40,000 groups, are rated A+, and over 5 million members are enrolled. So they must be doing something right, wouldn't you think, huh? But just because your cousin extended these benefits to you, it doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to enroll. You do have to qualify. If you're too high risk, they can't let you in. So they have me ask you a couple of questions to make sure. And I need to get to the correct form, so bear with me. Oh, slowing down in my old age. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So have either of you had a problem with drugs or alcohol? Any arrests, including DUIs? Do you take prescriptions, medications? No? Have you ever had any health issues in your lifetime? Have either of you used any tobacco, nicotine, or smoked marijuana in the last 12 months? Has anyone in your household been diagnosed with COVID-19 in the past 3 months? Okay. Any family history of cancer, diabetes, or heart disease? No. Okay, and then 1 second, then we're filling out your name. Yeah. And what do you do for work? Okay. And okay, so now, did your cousin fill you in on the Our Power program? He didn't? Our Power is a very old principle that says all members should take the first 1 hour of their weekly wage and set it aside to protect themselves and provide for their family's future. Now, 1 hour of your wage each week is roughly 1/40th of your income, right? And that's not going to change your lifestyle any, is it? No, of course not. Any financial planner would tell you to set aside 10 to 15% of your income. Your program is based on 1 hour, which is only 2.5%. So all the members can afford it. Now, provided that you can qualify, They allow you to set aside between $20 and $100 each week. Every member has different situations and different hourly wages. What I am obligated to do is show what setting aside your 1 hour combined will do and what kind of protection that it will provide. Then when I'm done, they would like to have the opinion on the report card that goes directly back to them. It lets them know that I have met with you and done my job. Is that fair? So Tommy, what do you make an hour? 25? And Jane, what do you make an hour? 20. Now, what I'm going to do is show you what setting aside this $45 a week will do for your family and what kind of protection that will provide. Just like in any other enrollment period that you can qualify, there are forms that need to be filled out together today, and that's not something that we can do later or over the phone. So be sure to stop me anytime that you have questions. Is that fair? So they're concerned with 3 major areas: accidental injuries, final expenses, and paycheck protection. Accidental injuries, the first area they're concerned with is when you were injured in any type of accident, have either one of you thought about what you will do when you get injured in an accident? Well, the Labor Advisory Board and American Income have, and given it a lot of thought. The concern isn't that your medical bills won't be taken care of. You have health care and it takes care of that. When it's job related, there's workers' compensation. And many members have some form of disability. What they are concerned with is lost wages and other expenses that start adding up. When you end up in the hospital, even though your medical bills are taken care of, no one pays you to be there, right, Tommy? And Jane, when you get that phone call, obviously you won't be working either. You will be by his side, and vice versa. God forbid something happens to any of your children. In that case, no one's working, right? Yeah. Tommy, when you, Jane, or any of your kids get hurt and have to go to an emergency room, they're going to send you up to $150 a day. And for taking the time to have this injury looked at. That's for any kind of accident, whether you scrape your knee, need stitches on or off the job, that money comes to you here at home. The only exception to that is when you have to stay overnight in the hospital. They're going to send you $300 a day for up to a full year. That ends up being $2,100 a week. Now, let me ask you, when that money comes in, will that help your family? Yeah, of course it will. Now, the only exception to that is when you have to stay in intensive care. They're going to send you $600 a day for up to 2 full weeks. The reason why it's this amount for each week is because usually when you're in intensive care, it's a life or death situation. Does that make sense? Now, the second area that they are concerned with is your final expenses. Now, Tommy, who is going to be responsible for taking care of your funeral and final expenses when something happens to you? Now, let me ask, have either of you ever had to plan a funeral? The reason that I asked is that it's a very serious problem. Now, the concern is not the fact that you're going to die, because we'll all die, right? But when we die, someone in our family has to face a funeral director immediately. Funeral directors these days require all or the bulk of the money up front on the spot before they start doing anything, or they at least need to know where the money is going to come from. Did you realize that? A lot of people don't. So while your family is waiting for your life insurance to come in, who is going to take care of the things in the meantime? That's right, the family, or you, Jane. They either have to take the money out of savings if they have it, or worse yet, borrow it. Does that make sense? So now that what they've done now is to set up the freedom of choice certificate. To take care of your final expenses. If you qualify, each of you will receive your own certificate that looks just like this. Now, they call it the freedom of choice because it's good at any funeral home. The way this works is when something happens to you, Tommy, then Jane, you take this certificate to any funeral home of your choice, and when the funeral director looks at you and says, I'm really sorry for your loss, Tommy's funeral is going to be $16,000. How would you like to take care of this today? At this point, you'll say, Tommy has the freedom of choice. Everything is taken care of from this point on. Tommy, in your case, they've set aside $67,000. Mary, in your case, they've set aside $65,000 to take care of your funeral and final expenses. What's not used at the funeral home gets sent to the beneficiary. Now, let me ask you, Tommy and Jane, isn't it nice to finally have this taken care of? Yeah, exactly. Each of the kids are covered for $10,000 benefit that can be converted to $50,000 at the age of 21, regardless of their health or habits, that they can keep for the rest of their life. Pretty nice, huh? Now, the exception to this, when you die before the age of 65, it will typically be because of some kind of accident, right? Tommy, when something happens to you in any type of accident, not only will they immediately take care of all your final expenses, but they are going to send your family an additional $105,000 to help out during this time. When you die in an accident, what kind of accident will it probably be? That's right, a car accident. In that case, they're going to send you an additional $135,000, plus take care of all your final expenses. And when traveling on a common carrier like a bus, plane, or train, they will send an additional $225,000 to the family. Each of your children are covered for $12,000 for those same accidental deaths. Does this make sense? The third problem that they're concerned about is your paycheck. Tommy, you're on your way home from work and you get killed in a car accident or pass away from a stroke or a heart attack. Is your paycheck going to keep coming in to support Jane and the family? Of course not. Your paycheck vanishes just like that. But taking care of the family, putting food on the table, paying the bills, those all stay pretty much the same. So Jane, the bills keep coming in month after month and Tommy's paycheck is gone, right? But let me ask you, do you have life insurance, right? Hopefully. And realize the members do have life insurance, but here's what happens in a typical situation when you die. Your family immediately has to start dipping into those lump sums. First for reimbursement of your burial and miscellaneous expenses, and then because your paychecks have stopped coming in, you have to keep dipping into your savings to pay bills, put food on the table, and then a year or two later, what happens to all the money? That's right, it's completely disappeared and it's gone. So here is your paycheck protection. Something happens to you, they're going to start sending Mary a paycheck that very next month and every single month after that for a minimum of 1 year. Now, the reason they choose at least a year is because you need a decent time to adjust. A couple of months just isn't enough time. Does that make sense? What they're going to do in your case, Tommy, when you die, they're going to start sending Mary this amount of $4,300 every single month for a year for any cause of death. Mary, when something happens to Jane, when something happens to Tommy and they send you and your family that check every month, will that give your family time to adjust? Of course it will. Now, Jane, you'll be in the position that when that does happen, you take the money you receive and get it invested for your future children's education and retirement. Does that make sense? And Jane, when something happens to you, John is going to receive $3,400 each and every month for the amount of a year. Now this does build an build an emergency fund. After 3 years, if things ever get tight financially, there will be some money to help take care of your program during that time that you don't lose it. There's also paid up benefits. So when you retire, you can stop contributing to the program and keep a reduced paid up final expense benefit for the rest of your life. Pretty nice, huh? Now, terminal illness. Have you ever thought about what you will do when you are diagnosed with a terminal illness? Well, they put a lot of thought into it. In fact, they realize you're going to need a lot of money. When you're diagnosed with a terminal illness, not expected to live more than 12 months, they're going to send you half the final expenses and pay check protection. The other half will come to your family after you're gone. And there is a strike and layoff clause, but neither of you are in the union, so that doesn't need to be gone over. Also, the insurance benefits are guaranteed and non-cancelable, which means if you qualify, then no matter what happens in the future to your health, age, or habits, no one can ever take this away from you. Does that make sense? Now, I've showed you what setting aside 1 hour combined will do for your family. Let's review to make sure it's clear. Your accidental injury benefits are there for your family. Your freedom of choice certificate covers you and Jane and the children for any cause of death, and there until it needs to be used, and it's there until it needs to be used. Your paycheck protection and all your protections on the side here. Make sure no matter what happens moving forward, you never have to lose your benefits after today. Even if you change jobs, get very sick or move. Again, can you see why these are so very important for your family? Now, my job, because of what your cousin did for you, is to help you to get enrolled in what you can qualify for. The best part is they set this up like a payroll deduction, but they do it once a month through your own checking account. That way, when you change jobs or retire, you never have to worry about losing the insurance benefits because they are under your control, not your employers or the union. Pretty nice, huh? Tommy and Jane, let's face it, we're all gonna die. We don't have a choice. Either we deal with this now or someone in your immediate family, brother, sister, friend, will have to deal with this when something happens. Does this make sense? Now, you will have to answer some medical questions to see if you can qualify, but probably the most important question I need to ask you is when something happens to both of you, say in a bad car wreck, there will be a little over $400,000. Yeah. Who do you want this money to go to? Okay. Now, Tommy and Jane, it doesn't make a difference to them which program you try to qualify for. Most families try to qualify for their 1 hour combined, which what I went over with you. Some families ask if they can do more and set aside more for their families and double their benefits, and sometimes members choose a more basic program just to get started, and they know they will upgrade down the road, provided they still qualify. Which way do you want to go? Oh, hopefully that was better, guys.